Hello everyone. Hi Hrishikesh.
Hi,
Myself Nidhi, and thank you for coming on our podcast. Thank you.
pleasure.
So today we are going to have a conversation about you and how you developed this brand of Vakilsearch and entered into Forbes Asia 30 under 30. But before that, would you like to give an introduction of yourself? How do you see or perceive yourself?
So I'm a lawyer by training,
Okay.
but what I do at work is not really what a lawyer typically does because I have to look into various aspects of the business, whether it's the engineering side of things or it's the day-to-day business management side of things or in operations. So as someone I'm a sort of jack of all trades here, although I'm not an engineer, neither am I a chartered accountant, neither am I a business guy. So basically I'm actually nothing in that sense. But I just try to get my value into different aspects of the business wherever I can add some value and make things a little better. So if you ask me what I do on a day-to-day basis, it's a little bit of different things.
Okay.
And that's how I see myself. I see myself as, someone who can try and maybe move the needle in different aspects wherever I can help.
Oh wow. So ये जर्नी आपकी स्टार्ट कहाँ से हुई?
तो मैं नेशनल लॉ स्कूल में था,
Okay.
मेरी वहाँ पे पढ़ाई हुई थी
Hmm.
और वहाँ पे मुझे ये समझ में आ गया कि while the Indian legal system is while we have 100 and that time 120 crore people, but the system was not designed to serve the needs of these people,
Okay.
right? And this is just a 35,000 foot view which I had because I was just in college.
Hmm.
But we had to spend almost 6 months a year interning with different lawyers, firms, chartered accountant firms.
Huh.
And so the way in which National Law School molds the students, uh, it gives you an exposure to what the practice of law and practice of accounting looks like.
Okay.
And I got a sense that yes, there was a lot that needed to be done, and maybe by using technology, by using a different approach where people could get access to good quality help at a consistent affordable price,
Hmm.
we would be able to make a dent in the way in which the system was running.
Okay.
Now obviously no one individual or no one company can change everything, but
Hmm.
I think it's all about a group of people coming together to begin making that difference, and ultimately once you do that, then the whole system starts transforming.
Okay. Great. So just a small clarity I would need. जो well popular NLUs हैं, how different is National Law School than NLU?
So National Law School India का number first NLU था in that
Okay.
sense. So it was the pioneering model of national law education in India,
Okay.
started by Mr. Madhava Menon. So Madhava Menon was the visionary brain behind 3 or 4 different national law universities:
Okay.
NLU Jodhpur,
Hmm.
National Law School Bangalore,
Hmm.
Nalsar Hyderabad, and NUJS Kolkata.
Okay.
So all the four, actually, he was the brain. They were all his brainchild. The idea that legal education could be like an IIT or an IIM,
Hmm.
and high quality, international standard education. उनका वो pioneering mission था वो इंडिया में लाने का.
Okay.
So he started with National Law School, and that's a totally different story for maybe a different podcast. But
Okay.
they started from a little shed in Bangalore University, और वहाँ से
Wow.
शुरू करके he managed to get funding, he managed to get a grant from the Karnataka government for 30 acres of land. It was going to be set up in Chennai,
Oh.
but the Tamil Nadu government, there was some delay, some bureaucratic delay, and
Hmm.
it fortunately shifted to Bangalore.
Okay.
And he set it up in the Bangalore University campus. He got 30 acres of land. He got autonomy to run the place.
Wow.
In fact, the chancellor of the university, at least it was back then, the Supreme Court Chief Justice.
Oh.
So it's a legal education started by the community for the community. That was very
Nice.
pioneering, very different vision which he had.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
he got a university status for it. So he had the freedom to run his own exams. तो मतलब पूरा उनका अलग था. They're
Okay.
not bound by any other university rules. So it's National Law School University.
So you mentioned about government के साथ में tie-ups and setting up the NLU. How does the role play of government help or interferes? आपका जो सब्जेक्ट लाइन है, आपका जो वेबसाइट है या फिर आपका जो काम है with Zolvit, उसमें is there any government alliance या government intervention or any support from government? How does it runs with government? Or yeah.
नहीं, गवर्नमेंट के साथ तो अलायंस है हमारे,
Okay.
लेकिन that is more where we can actually help a specific mission of the government. Like for example, Digital India Mission. We work with the Arunachal Pradesh government
Oh,
to provide digital signatures to the Arunachal cadre, so the
Okay.
different government departments.
okay.
Right? So like that, we have different tie-ups with different governments. Andhra Pradesh government, Arunachal government, different institutions like IIT Madras में हमारा official tie-up है. IIT Guwahati के साथ tie-up है. So we have tie-ups with different institutions and different governments.
Okay.
But I would not say the government is an alliance partner. The government, we are able, wherever the government needs help, they reach out to multiple parties. It's an open process. We apply, and if we get selected, then we work with the government there.
On a tender basis.
On a tender basis, or it's an open process.
Okay.
It's an application process. Even if it's not a full tender, it's an application. But the government is not in that sense a partner. In company registration or filings, the government is at the other end. So the customer works with us, and then we have to submit data documents to the government. The government has to, in fact, give approvals to us.
Yeah.
So we have to manage the government at both ends. In some places, the government is our client. In some places, the government is the other side.
Okay.
And customers expect everything to be done. Obviously, as a customer, you would expect it. You would
Right.
want the approvals to come like this.
Right.
You would want your GST to be registered in 5 minutes. Right?
Correct.
But there is a process which, there's an approval pending with the government. Sometimes for different reasons, the approval takes time. The approval takes more time.
Okay.
And as a rule, we don't pay miscellaneous fees to the government. Right? We try to avoid that as a practice to be ethical and clean. So there is a process which we have to follow.
Okay. Over the period of time, जैसे Made in India आया है, is it actually affecting the business? And mainly जो नए लोग हैं who are becoming entrepreneurs or who want to become entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, तो is it comfortable now to work with the government or to get the registrations? या फिर still there are a lot of hindrances there in midway?
देखो, एक चीज तो ये है कि टुडे एज अ कंट्री वी हैव एन एम्बिशन, राइट? $5 ट्रिलियन की इकोनॉमी बनानी है. वी वांट टू बी वर्ल्ड लीडर्स. वो तो एम्बिशन आ गया है हमारे इंडिया में, राइट? सो वो पर्कुलेट होता जा रहा है टू द ग्रास रूट्स, राइट? सो इट्स डेफिनेटली हेल्पिंग अस. Ease of doing business is a vision, right? To make the process of doing business easier, and any large scale transformation at a national level takes time.
Okay.
So are we benefiting from this as a business? 100%. We are benefiting a lot from a business perspective.
Okay.
But what is more exciting is the kind of companies, the kind of people we are working with. Right? So the kind of entrepreneurs who are coming out in India, we are not just today copying ideas from the West. We are trying to build in India by Indians for India, right? And from India for the world, right? So it's both, right? So I think gone are the days when India is just a follower. I think in our generation, India will definitely start emerging as a leader.
Okay. अपनी जर्नी में आपने एज अ लीडर क्या क्या कंट्रीब्यूट किया है which is not influenced or followed from a western culture?
वो काफी सारी चीजें हैं, but I wouldn't say मैंने कुछ किया. Like it's a
teamwork.
It's always teamwork. And the one thing which I feel about creative ideas is that to create something, you need to connect different stuff, right? So you will find inspiration in different places, and you will connect that to the way you do things. For example, a lot of Indian customers, I mean, if you look at other industries, the way we introduced cash on delivery as a concept in India, when we started Zolvit, there was no concept of online payment. So in the initial days, we used to send an invoice through courier, and the courier guy would pick up the cash and deposit it in our bank account. So I think we have all seen that cycle where India has gone from being a non-cash economy to a cash-first economy to being a digital economy.
Correct.
So, and legal as an industry itself, the idea 7-8 years ago or 10 years ago was that legal would go online, or accounting would go online, or compliance would go online, was unthinkable. Right? सबके घर के चार्ट अकाउंटेंट्स थे, मतलब 2-3 generations का relationship था auditor के साथ. That was the way in which things functioned in India. But we have seen over the last 5-10 years that people have shifted their concepts, because you not only need an auditor to run a business today, you also need a lawyer, you need a company secretary, you also need some help with different aspects of getting licenses, permissions. So you need a full stack, a set of people who can help you with end-to-end support for your business.
Okay.
And that has really helped us at Zolvit, because I'm a lawyer, I'm not an auditor. So I'm a lawyer, but we have auditors in the company, we have company secretaries in the company, we have people who do the licensing work for us in the company. So if you ask me what the creation is, then I think my contribution has been, or our contribution has been, to bring together different people and try to inspire them to work better and better for the customer. It's a journey, I would say.
Okay. जैसा कि आपने मेंशन किया, एंड द पर्पस ऑफ स्टार्टिंग Zolvit was to bring a dent in the system, in the current system. बट ये डेंट मे बी गवर्नमेंट पे भी लगा हो, लॉ स्कूल्स पे लगा हो, एंड उसके साथ साथ में जो करंट प्रैक्टिसिंग प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, उन उनकी प्रैक्टिसेस में भी कहीं ना कहीं इट हैज बीन एबल टू पुट अ डेंट, बिकॉज देर आर अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल जो बहुत स्क्रैच से स्टार्ट किए होते हैं, who do not have that much of money, that much of knowledge or skills, so they are not comfortable making payments for a lot of professional services, including registrations, and they are also the people who search for online options or other cheaper options, and they pursue it.
Got it.
So that way, जो बहुत marginal professionals थे, who are not into specialization, who used to be there in general or generic professional practice, उनके like they see Vakilsearch or Zolvit and couple of other organizations as a dent to their source of income. What would be your message to such people?
See, that's uh, actually factually not at all true, right? Because India में 70 million SMBs हैं India में, right? We are hardly serving 100,000 clients collectively, right? So 70 million कहाँ है और 100,000 कहाँ है, right? It's a complete, so it's not like, and every year there are millions of new SMBs being set up, all of whom need accounting help. Correct. One. Number two, we actually work with a lot of chartered accountants. तो हम काफी चार्ट अकाउंटेंट्स को काम देते भी हैं और उनके साथ काम करते हैं. सो वी हैव अ ह्यूज नेटवर्क ऑफ professionals. It's almost 58,000 professionals today, lawyers, chartered accountants, company secretaries, who work with us. So there was some chartered accountants who are negatively minded, or lawyers who are negatively minded will just make this allegation. But factually अगर आप देखोगे तो every time there is a new entrant in the industry, in any industry, it only builds the industry further. अगर आप cab companies को देखोगे, तो when the Uber and Ola came, what did people say? That all the cabs will go out of business. It has exactly the opposite has happened. There are so many more cabs today. Correct. The existing cab drivers who were there before Uber and Ola came, they have got much more work, because as a concept, as a mindset, लोगों का दिमाग बदल गया है. मतलब the approach to should I take a car or a cab, before these ride-based, app-based ride-hailing services came, cab was not an option most of the time. Correct. But today, cab is actually an alternative. Some people don't even buy cars because you can take a ride-hailing app, ride-hailing cab, go wherever you want to, and get dropped off, picked up. It's very seamless. So, what I would say to people who say that is, if actually that's not true, and you can look at our books, but even more importantly, how do we do this together? How do we work with different chartered accountant firms? So where, see, we can't as a company do audit. It's not, we have to work with the chartered accountant to do audit, because it's by law not allowed for a company to do audit. Correct. So, and we have a lot of clients. Can we work with you on the audit side? As a chartered accountant, you may not be able to do a trademark filing, right? Can you work with us on the trademark filing side? So we have to not think about, you and me fighting with each other for the client. We have to think about the chartered accountant and us working together for the client. And that's the message I would like to share with everybody, and that's actually what is going to happen. So can I break it down? Please, please. So the idea is that
we should be working together for the client and not for the client.
Exactly because see हम audit कर नहीं सकते, we can't do it, right? We have to work. In fact, we are required by law to work with chartered accountants to do audit. So we can only maintain the books of account, they have to do the audit. So we are required by law to do that, right? Similarly, the auditor cannot do may not be able to do a licensing, a shops act license or a trade license or a XYZ food license or a trademark application. They may not be able to do that. So in fact, most of them don't do that, right? Their strength is audit.
Right.
So my thought is, let's look at how we can build this $5 trillion economy working together for the client.
What would be your recommendation if someone wants to build up a structure like you?
So I'll tell you some of the mistakes that we made, right? And maybe that can help somebody who's starting afresh to come with a clean slate and maybe build, learn from our mistakes. So I would say the first mistake that we made was we tried to do a lot of different things, right? So if you're starting today, my suggestion would be take a niche area which you can focus on and you can build the best service in that area, right? Build the best, most comprehensive solution in that area, right? The second thing I would say is try as far as possible to automate the backend as much as possible, because the biggest cost in our industry is the cost of people. Find an area where there is a possibility to automate. You become the market leaders in that. And then from there you expand and build more and more capabilities. That would be a great way to do it. Legal as an industry, if you look at all the companies in our space, right, not only in India but all over the world, it's a slow burn industry. It doesn't grow overnight because trust takes a long time to develop with the customer.
Also compounding, if you would agree to that?
It does compound. It does compound. So if you see LegalZoom in the US, it's a 25-year-old company.
Okay.
Started in 1998.
Okay.
And they finally listed in 2021.
Okay.
So it's a 24-year journey before they listed on the stock exchange in NASDAQ. So it takes time, but once it hits that time, then today in America, I think 20% plus of all companies in California are incorporated by LegalZoom.
Okay.
And they work with hundreds of thousands of lawyers and CPAs. So it's both ways.
Does compounding happen? Because for licensing, a person would be coming for just one license. And that once they have a license, if it is not required by law, they won't be coming back for the same license again. So what do you think about compounding in this particular segment of business?
Oh, that's a good question. So B2B सेगमेंट में कंपाउंडिंग बहुत होता है बिकॉज लाइसेंस एक लाइसेंस एक टाइम पे लगता है, लेकिन उसके बाद और कोई लाइसेंस लगता है तो रिन्यूअल होता है लाइसेंस का. So the licensing process is, yes, one license is one time, but you will need a lot of regular repetitive renewal work for that license itself. So compounding in that sense, I would say it's additive for most businesses, if not compounding, because only if the business grows, the licensing requirements compound. If the business, but in the SMB segment, very few businesses skyrocket to a place where they have non-linear requirements of licenses. Most businesses, they'll need one in the first year, then they may need two, then they'll need three, then they'll need four. So it's additive. But there's definitely growth. Okay. That those 10% of your clients who actually grow exponentially, that is where the compounding for both, it's also a lot of joy for the professional, and it's great to see the client grow that way. That's where you can have a compounding impact in terms of the service you're doing for the client.
Okay, great. So you mean to say that when thinking about a compounding part, we should be bifurcating our entire client segment into 2-3 parts. One would be a kind of B2C, whereby the other side of the business is very small. They would be coming once or twice only. Then there comes a B2B, who is a giant combination, and or a large scale industry you can pick up, whereby these requirements will be continuously coming in. So you'll be able to work it that way. And the third segment, which you mentioned earlier, was a B2G, which is business to government. Correct? Okay.
Yes, broadly correct. B2C में repeat behavior कम होता है relatively because it's either a property scenario or money recovery or matrimonial. One of those scenarios, it's not that you have that situation on a very regular basis. B2B में it's always repeat. But B2B में the repeat cycle is actually quite high because if you take GST filing, every month you need it.
Okay. And how do you target, so when we know that these three are the segments, we also know that where will we get the most revenue from? So why not target only B2B and B2G and not go for B2C because it's not remunerative that way?
So what we have done, what actually ended up happening was that the B2B customers became B2C customers for us.
Oh.
So we have so many B2B customers through either directly through online channels or through our partners. Like we are exclusive partners for Meesho. We work with Flipkart, we work with Amazon, we work with multiple other e-commerce and other companies. So they give us a lot of their small merchants come to us, and when they have a problem outside of their business, that's when they approach us. Okay. So the B2C growth for us was very organic.
Okay.
And then what also happened was we realized, okay, legal advice, it may not be a repeat use case, like I won't need advice all the time, but there are 140 crore people, and they all need, today I think we have the largest or maybe the second largest internet enabled population in the world. They all need legal advice from time to time, and it's not something where you have to go and meet somebody. They just want to know, like, somebody has given me this agreement, is this clause okay, should I sign this agreement? Or I'm having some problem at home, or I'm having some problem with recovering some money which I had lent to somebody. What do I do? Right? Or there is some product which I purchased which is completely defective. What do I do? So लोग बहुत हिचकिचाते हैं before they go and meet a lawyer. This simplifies the process. It makes it more affordable, convenient.
Okay.
So one of our very fast growing services is in fact talk to a lawyer or talk to a CA. Okay. Where a person just pays a small amount, it's less than 1,000 rupees. Okay. Right? But they get connected to a CA or a lawyer within, I mean, depending on when the slot is available, within 30 minutes to 3 hours. Okay. So, and they can do it from their office, from their home, completely online, and it's a slot which is booked. You can do it video call, you can do audio call. Okay.
Wow. So it means that it is comfortable even for the client, and it is at the same time it is also comfortable for the professional.
100%.
Because they can do it from any place, anywhere. They don't have to travel or something.
And this is a model which is going to scale globally. Because there is access to professional help itself is a big problem. Okay. Like a lot of people, they just have that fear and they don't do anything.
So, okay. So you mentioned about the charges being very nominal. Okay. And I have gone through your website. There are a lot of services enlisted over there, and it works on a pay package mode. Like, so there are standardized rates already. There is a standard rate card, which we actually do not find in a lot of professional practices, be it advocacy, be it CA or CS, or even CMA. Okay, so it's very difficult to have a standard rate card available at office of a professional because of a lot of complexities involved, because of time, difference in the time involved, and a lot of other stuff. So how do you manage to make it a standardized rate card for all your services, like across all your services?
So, everything comes around to working backwards from a constraint. Right? Okay. So a chartered accountant chooses not to put that constraint on themselves, or a lawyer chooses not to put that constraint. They'll say, let the work start, we'll see how much to bill. Right? As the work goes along, if there's more work, we'll bill more. If there's less work, we'll bill less. What we do is we work backwards we break the process down. Okay. We try to see how do we standardize the process to the largest extent, so that we are able to do that service effectively within a certain price point. So and it's possible for every chartered accountant and lawyer to do this.
Okay.
It's just that the industry has not evolved in that way. Hopefully, as a company, we can help the industry shift in that direction, because it creates a lot of clarity for the customer, I believe, if the customer knows in advance what is going to be the damage.
Definitely. Because a lot of customers feel cheated afterwards, and a lot of chartered accountants,
They also feel bad.
Yeah, they also feel bad that we have done a lot of efforts and this person is not paying.
So that's the problem. No, the chartered accountant doesn't want to cheat the customer. The customer also feels bad because they feel they're paying too much, but they don't understand sometimes the amount of work that went in.
Yeah.
So the chartered accountant did their best, the lawyer did their best, but because that clarity was not there upfront, both the chartered accountant or the lawyer and the customer feel bad at the end of it. So that's why we're trying to make a difference, that let's put that fee upfront. Of course, in some cases there'll be less work, some cases there'll be more work. But if you average it out and you take a process approach to it, then by and large you'll be able to deliver quality service within that price point. You look at any industry where there's been total, when cars started, the first cars, they were made by artists. They were made to order. It's not like today when a car is made on an assembly line. That came after Henry Ford.
Correct.
Right. So before Henry Ford, what was a car? It was made by artists in a workshop. And depending on how much paint they used, how much wood they used, how much steel they used, they would charge a certain amount for the car. Right. Henry Ford was the first guy who broke down that process of building a car into a process itself.
Correct. Mass production.
And put it on an assembly line. So then he was able to work backwards and say, this is how much the car should cost. It was obviously much less than building cars one by one in a workshop.
Right.
And that benefit has transformed the world. Right. The largest surface area on planet is probably roads today, because more than houses, roads take up space. So that one thought changed the landscape of the world.
Right. Absolutely correct. Okay, आपने mention किया about automating the process, automating the back-end process, so that you do not rely upon people a lot. How much cost does it actually involve in automating the process?
A lot. A lot.
Okay.
That's the biggest cost for us. Right? And that's the only area of investment if you think about it from our perspective. Today with AI, with generative AI, chat GPT, that's going to go even further. Right? It's not far off that all advisory, basic advisory, and basic communication is going to happen through AI itself. AI for today is what computers were in the 1980s and internet was in the 1990s. It is going to be that deeply impactful on the world.
Definitely.
So automation is expensive, but once you're able to really break down the process and automate it, I would say for us, we are just 30-40% on that journey.
Okay.
But when we are able to really make that impact, then the quality shoots up. The customer experience shoots up, and the prices also start falling.
So as you mentioned about generative AI, recently a lot of Hollywood writers were on strike because listing that one of their demands being कि आप हमें बाहर नहीं निकालोगे, you won't make us redundant क्योंकि आपका AI आ गया है, so it should not be that we are moved out of the company and we become jobless. So, and a lot of such things are there in the minds of professionals as well, be it a doctor, chartered accountant, advocate, a lot of professions.
Correct.
क्योंकि बहुत सारी चीजें are instantly available on OpenAI or any generative AI. So what would be, and that is definitely going to be there. So what would be your advice for the current advocates जो अभी पढ़ रहे हैं, are students of advocacy, are students of chartered accountancy, CS or other things, and they want to grow into practice or they want to pursue practice, उनके लिए आपका क्या suggestion है? What should they do to be successful 10 years down the lane?
So just, I won't go into the ethics of AI, because it's a very personal discussion, obviously some people feel कि मेरा job या मेरा livelihood चला जाएगा AI के कारण. Right? So I'm not going to get into that. I will, however, say that if you're a young professional, the one thing that AI will take a lot of time to do, maybe it will never do it, is to be able to connect the dots. AI will be able to generate based on what it knows. But the leap of inspiration, where you are able to connect two completely disconnected ideas and make it a new idea, that is still a human activity. Right? So, I don't know if you read that today Lufthansa, the German airline, has put shark fin like design on its planes, which reduce the fuel consumption by 1%. Now, 1% doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're flying a plane with 150 tons of fuel every day, 1% is 1.5 tons of fuel. Right? So, it's a lot of fuel. Now, can a computer imagine putting a shark fin like design on a plane? How do you connect a shark which lives in the ocean to a plane which flies in the sky made of metal? That is something which the human mind can do. So, as human beings, we need to reevaluate our role in the world and say we have to start thinking about what lies beyond the curve. So, self-driving cars will be there, but can a self-driving car be, Michael Schumacher? No, because at that level of excellence, at that level of the next level of achievement only comes with the application of the human mind. So a lot of the routine work is going to go away, yes. But what that will do is it will reduce the cost of service. And when it reduces the cost of service, a lot more people will seek the service. Just like when the cost of transportation by cab came down, a lot more people went and wanted a cab.
Correct. Because it becomes affordable.
Becomes accessible. Affordable and accessible both. A lot more people are going to need service. So then the role of a lawyer would be, how do I become the business partner? Or the chartered accountant, how do I become the business partner for this guy?
Business partner,
in a sense, how do I help him get a loan? How do I help him design his books or build his books in such a way that he can get credit from the government? How do I help him apply for the right government schemes? How do I help him or her? We need to be, inclusive in that sense. So how do I help her get her brand protected? Right? So those are things which a professional of tomorrow has to think about. 20 years ago, the person who knew the most was most sought after. There would be those professionals who her act, her provision ko jante the. Right? There would be people who you would go to them. That era is gone. Today, everybody has access to all the knowledge, all the information. Correct. With one click, you get it. Correct. So, knowledge has become more democratic. But application and advice is still going to be a human function. So, my advice to the professionals of tomorrow is, how do you become better advisors for the business to grow the business?
Okay. Can I include one thing over here?
Please.
Is it going to be like, if you have the skill of thinking out of the box, then only you should enter into practice, otherwise not?
I don't think that the box even applies anymore. Okay. Right? Because like I said, the example of applying a shark fin design to a plane, where is the box there? Right? There is no, it's, you have to actually scan the entire horizon and think. But the one true north, one thing that will never change, not for 10 years, not for 1,000 years, is that people are going to want to set up businesses and grow the business. Okay. So if you are, and that a computer cannot do, only a human being can do. So if you can reposition yourself, not as a chartered accountant, but as someone who's going to, or a lawyer, but as someone who's a growth partner. Okay. So that necessarily will involve thinking outside the 4 letters of the law or the 4 letters of the rules, so to speak.
If for any kind of business, for any kind of business you start, we start from, like, at the time we start, we have a lot of inspiration, बहुत motivation होता है, and we are full on कि यार करेंगे करेंगे करेंगे. But then comes a point 3 years, 5 years, 2 years later, जहाँ पे everything seems to be shattered. सब ऐसा लगता है कि यार नहीं हो पाएगा, कैसे करेंगे, पॉसिबल ही नहीं है, अब तो छोड़ना पड़ेगा, या फिर यार वो ऑप्शन भी ज्यादा बेटर है, लेट अस स्विच टू ऑप्शन बी और समथिंग. What was that point for you? When did it came and how did you overcome it?
So it wasn't one point, right? It is many such points.
Okay.
And they say every business goes through 5 or more near death experiences, right? So it's never one point. I wish it was only one.
Okay.
But there's so many times when you feel that things are just not going your way. That when you look around and somebody has done so much at a younger age or the same age, they have really grown the business so much, and you're still at a certain place. You feel कि भाई उनका क्यों हो रहा है, मेरा क्यों नहीं हो रहा. Those thoughts also come in. You start comparing yourself. You start feeling very insecure, anxious. कि कुछ हो भी जाएगा यहाँ पे क्या? Am I just wasting my time? 5 साल हो गए, prime years of my life. All those thoughts come into your mind, right? Like, am I wasting my best years doing something where I may or may not get any returns? And I think that the only one thing to know is that everybody is going through the same thing, right? Everybody has gone through and is going through, no matter how big the business is. They have gone through multiple near-death experiences.
What was the first one for Zolvit? Vakilsearch. What that says.
So I would say the initial years were very tough because we were also learning and the market was evolving. So there were many points at which there were not enough customers to even support a small team which we had. So we
started the team of?
We started with a team of 2 people.
Okay.
And then it grew to like 2, then became 5, then became 7. But even at a small size, you're getting the customer trust. Most of our business from the beginning has been through word of mouth and referral.
Okay.
Most of our business. But that has become much easier today with the advent of, with the proliferation of things like WhatsApp and other channels, right, where people talk to each other very fast. In those days, the spread of knowledge was also a little slower.
Correct.
So word of mouth took some time to build up. And referral took some time to build up. So then we actively started requesting customers for referral. Okay. And saying, sir, please give us a referral. Okay. And most customers we found, you can't incentivize them to give a referral. Correct. If they feel good, only then they refer, right? And you can ask them. Most people want to help other people. So if you ask them, sir, please can you give me a referral, they give you a referral. Okay. So anyway, I'll come back to your question. So multiple such experiences before we raised our first round of funding in 2016. Okay. We had this. I mean, we went through We went through not one but few near-death experiences. Right? And even after we raised that first round of capital, this industry is a slow growth industry relatively, say compared to logistics or retail. Correct. Or D2C. This takes a little longer to grow, but it's a very stable business in the long term. So to get investors to invest in technology development in this industry has been challenging, because from an investor's perspective, I totally understand, right? They want to see a certain set of parameters. Correct. But there were investors who understood the vision we had and could see that, okay, there was very good consistent growth. And so they they invested in us. So the question, was there one moment like that where it felt very difficult or felt too difficult to continue? Many such moments. Okay. What I have learned over the years is that the one most priceless commodity which we need to build as business leaders or business owners is faith. Like, if you saw Pat Cummins, now I know that India-Australia World Cup loss was heartbreaking. I mean, all of us were shattered. Yeah. But one thing that I remember was Pat Cummins coming the earlier day and saying, or the 2 days before, and saying that nothing will give me more satisfaction than seeing 1.3 lakh Indians go silent. Right? And it's true. When they won the match, correct, I think none of us spoke for a long time because it was so shocking, so devastating, so upsetting. But he had that faith in front of a hostile crowd. India was the better team. clearly we were the better team, right?
Hmm.
They were the inferior team. They had a hostile crowd, but he had faith. He had faith that he would do it.
Hmm.
And it's all about, I think, internally, how do you build that faith? Why are Australians such good sportsmen, and why is India so good today?
Hmm.
Because we have, it's not about the physical game.
Hmm.
Like Rahul Dravid or Sachin Tendulkar were great cricketers. I think where we have become better today as a cricketing team and as a country, and even us in the business world,
Hmm.
is we have started working on our mental game. And if you build more and more faith
Hmm.
in yourself, right, faith that yes, things will work out in the end. It may not be, it may be raining today, but the sun will come out tomorrow. If you can believe that, okay, today it's raining, today it's cloudy, but the sun will be there tomorrow, and I will work till the sun comes.
Hmm.
I think that is that shift which really helps.
Was there a family support to support you at that time, at that waiting
Oh,
part? Okay.
tremendous family support. I mean, that's very important, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and I would go so far as to say that the family you're born into, the family you're part of, that's extremely important. And also the friends, the close circle of friends you build, it almost becomes like a secondary family, right? So the family you're part of supports in every possible way,
Hmm.
right? Emotionally, financially, in terms of giving you that support. There is no doubt. I mean, I don't think that I could have built this without that support.
So your
For
light in the dark night was your family and friends.
100%,
Okay.
100%. So that light in the dark night is, it's really up to how you seek it out, right? But definitely family and friends and books.
Okay.
I think I would say all three. Right? There are a lot of great books which really help to give you that faith. There are so many like that, right? So I mean, authors I would recommend would be Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Hmm.
Mr. Sri Kumar Rao. So there are many great authors
Okay.
who will help you to remember that yes, there are people who are in a much worse situation
Hmm.
and they were able to come out of it.
Are you
And
planning to write a book?
huh?
Are you planning to write a book?
we don't talk about things, right?
Okay.
If that book comes out, then I'll let you know.
Definitely, I'll love to read that.
Certainly.
Okay, and are you still connected with your school friends, college friends? Like, who were the most closest to you?
College friends, very connected, but digitally.
Okay.
It feels kind of, I mean, honestly, I would
Formal?
much rather, huh?
Formal?
No, not formal at all.
Okay.
Like, we have a great time when we meet, but
Hmm.
since I studied in Bangalore and many of them are from Bombay, Delhi, now many of them have moved to London and other places.
Oh, wow.
Uh, so we are connected, but very digitally.
Okay.
School friends still very connected to, because once I came back to Madras after NLS,
Hmm.
then there were school friends who were here.
Hmm.
Some of them had moved out, but some of them were still here. So I would say, yeah, I'm quite blessed in that sense with having a great circle of people, both friends, college and school friends,
Okay.
whom I'm in touch with.
Oh,
I would love to be able to spend more time with them,
okay.
but maybe someday.
Okay. Great. Awesome. So was really nice talking to you.
Pleasure was mine.
Any key messages or notes which you would like to give at the end of the podcast?
So, I mean, if you can just figure out a way to build the faith that the world is there for you and it's going to work out in the end,
Hmm.
and that's the question you asked, right? And I think that's the one lesson, one message that I would share, and maybe it helps the people who are watching this.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much for
Thank
this.
you so much.